The new team that Derek Carr could be playing for in 2023 has become more clear. A decision will be made by the Raiders on Derek Carr on February 15th, because if he is not released or traded by then they are on the hook for his entire contract, fully guaranteed. Derek Carr will likely be released, and based on his brother David Carr's comments, it seems like a trade is not going to happen.
Davis tried to trade me once. It didn't work out. See how it works out for him with my brother.
There is, however, one way that Derek Carr could be traded, which is if he brings some of his friends with him. And we know there is a report by Jeremy Fowler where he says that many teams believe Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow are on the trade block. According to Fowler, Raiders head coach Josh McDaniels wants to bring in his own guys. So what team could Derek Carr go play for? The Jets were an option that seemed sort of obvious, but they recently hired Nathaniel Hackett, the Denver Broncos former head coach, as their offensive coordinator. And we know Nathaniel Hackett was the offensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. He has that relationship with Aaron Rodgers. So if Aaron Rodgers is going to be traded anywhere, Nathaniel Hackett and the Jets seem like a favorable spot. But now we know that the Carolina Panthers are hiring former Colts head coach Frank Reich. And Reich will likely be motivated, trying to make a splash quickly in Carolina, so the Colts regret firing him. We know the Panthers have not made the playoffs since 2017, and the NFC South is ripe for the taking, with the Atlanta Falcons struggling, the New Orleans Saints struggling, the Buccaneers seem like they need to shift some things now that it is likely that Tom Brady is leaving. And Frank Reich, while he was with the Colts, he worked with QBs like Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers after his time with the Chargers, Carson Wentz, and then this past year, Matt Ryan. Derek Carr will be a significant upgrade over all these guys, and we know for a fact that Frank Reich, when he was the head coach of the Colts this past year, was pursuing Derek Carr, and according to Rich Eisen, was prepared to go YOLO for Derek Carr.
Rich? No, I'm not making it up. I'll just tell you stuff that I heard in Indianapolis, that they're going to try and maybe go YOLO for like Derek Carr.
And the Panthers are drafting 9th overall, so they will likely not be able to draft their future QB because all the teams ahead of them are likely picking QBs, so they're going to have to go with the veteran. Frank Reich will likely try to pursue Derek Carr and fulfill his dream of finally getting the guy. If Carr does join the Panthers, then their current defense they have right now will be the best defense that Carr has ever played with in his entire career. The Raiders have always had one of the worst defense throughout Carr's 9 years there. And Derek Carr has always been able to make things happen with limited receiving talent. This past season with Devontae Adams was the first time Derek Carr has had a true #1 wide receiver since 2017 with Amari Cooper. And not only did Josh McDaniels have suspect play calling for the Raiders this year, but there were some reports from some insiders that made it appear like Josh McDaniels was never sold on Derek Carr, and they were planning on moving on from him even before this season even started. So this poor season by Derek Carr really is an outlier, and he should be judged on everything he's done prior to this 2022 season. And I think that resume is why Frank Reich desperately wanted him this past offseason. And the Panthers already have a great wide receiver in DJ Moore, and they could add some cheap veterans that Derek Carr knows and likes to build a competent offense. And Derek Carr has a no trade clause, and if the Raiders really want to convince him to accept a trade, they could add in one of his friends, somebody like Hunter Renfrow, to the Panthers. And Hunter Renfrow is from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and we know Charlotte, North Carolina is not too far from there, so Hunter Renfrow will be able to return home, and I think he would probably love that. And this would give Derek Carr a slot receiver that he trusts, in addition to weapons like DJ Moore. And Frank Reich could elect to hire Greg Olsen as the offensive coordinator. Olsen was the offensive coordinator under John Gruden with Derek Carr and the Raiders, and he also coached Derek Carr in his rookie year in 2014. Carr, Greg Olsen, Frank Reich, and Hunter Renfrow can truly hit the ground running in Carolina. The only issue right now for the Carolina Panthers is their rough cap situation. Even with projections of who they're going to cut this year, they're still only going to have $8 million with those cuts. But if the Raiders are desperate to trade Carr, truly desperate since he has that no trade clause, they could elect to take on part of Carr's cap hit to make the trade more feasible for the Carolina Panthers. But if Derek Carr is released, I believe Frank Reich could convince him to take a team-friendly contract, especially if it is something a little more long-term and guaranteed, and it will be known that they're not rebuilding and trying to pursue championships. Last season, Derek Carr took a team-friendly contract with with the Raiders, but Josh McDaniels ended up having ulterior motives. Let me know what you think. Should the Panthers pursue Derek Carr? Will they do it? Will Frank Reich actually finally do it? And Derek Carr, should he go to Carolina or should he hold out, try to look elsewhere, since the Carolina Panthers do have a rough cap situation and not too many weapons on the offensive side of the ball? Like this video if you have not yet, and subscribe to this channel for more NFL content. My name is Wi-Fi Willie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.